Hi, everyone. It's Tally again. It's week 13, and we want to jump right in. So, our scripture this week is James, the second chapter, and the 17th verse. And this is in the NIV translation. It says, "In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." We are 13 weeks in. And I want to pause on that for a moment before we go any further. 13 weeks ago, you made a commitment, not a casual interest, not a resolution that you planned to revisit when the season felt right, but a commitment, a declared intention to launch a business or a side hustle business within a year, to move from the idea that has been living in your head and your heart into something that actually exists in the world. So we're now a quarter of the way through the year. So let me ask you directly, and I want you to answer it honestly. Where are you? I've been asking that question from kind of knowing the answer from what I've heard in this room. And some of you have a clear idea and have begun taking concrete steps. And some of you have a sense of direction, but haven't fully committed to it yet. And then some of you, and I say this with all respect, and there's no judgment here, but some of you are still in the seeking place, still asking God to show you what specifically you are called to build. And so this week, I want to speak to all three kind of groups because this verse, James 2 and 17, has something for each of us. And the action it requires looks different depending on where you actually are. So let's dig in. Seeking is not stalling, but it does have a discipline. If you are still seeking clarity on your assignment, still asking God to show you what He has called you to build, I want to say this first. That's a very legitimate place to be. That's fine. Seeking is not failure. Seeking is not meaning that you're behind in time, but seeking is actually a posture of dependence that God honors. He loves that. But seeking also has a discipline to it. And the discipline is this: seeking must be active, not passive. Passive looks like this: it looks like waiting for a feeling of certainty before you move. It can also look like praying for clarity while avoiding conversations or experimenting or trials, or even taking little small steps that are often the very way that we come into better clarity. It looks like treating the absence of a complete picture as a permission not to do anything. So active seeking looks different. It looks like taking what you do know, the problem that you keep noticing, the thing that keeps bothering you, the people that keeps gravitating towards you or you towards them, the need that you can't stop thinking about. It means taking that and testing it, doing something, not launching, not a commitment that this is a business, but engaging in the problem, offering your possible solutions. It means asking questions, having conversations with the very people that you want to help, and writing down what you see. Clarity, in my experience, rarely comes through stillness alone. It comes through movement. It comes when you put what you sense into a sentence and then you read it back to yourself. It comes when you describe what your idea is to someone who does not already believe in you. Your family and friends are going to tell you that you're great. It comes from when you describe your idea to somebody else and see how they respond to it. It comes when you take one small step in a direction and pay attention to whether the path opens up to you or it closes. Feedback is a good thing. If you're still seeking what your assignment is, your action this week is not to register a business like I've been talking about the last couple of weeks. It is actually to do the active, disciplined work of seeking. Write down the problem that will not leave you alone. Identify a handful of people, two, three people who have that problem, and sit and talk with them about it. Get more information. That's just a conversation. You're not pitching your idea to them. You're not making an offer to sell them something. You're just having a conversation with them about their problem that also bothers you and what you think could be the solution to. Maybe that's the thing, having that conversation will help bring your idea into better focus. So that's what I want you to do if you are still seeking God for what you're actually supposed to be building as an entrepreneur. Now, for those of you who already have a sense of direction, who know roughly what you want to build but haven't fully committed to it yet, I want you to name something. There's a place that many founders and entrepreneurs live that feels like building, but it actually isn't. It's the place of continuous preparation, the place where you are always getting ready to launch, but never quite launching. I have been there. Always refining the idea, but never testing it out with a group of people. Always doing more research, more planning, more prayer, and using all of that productive feeling activity as a buffer between you and the actual risk of beginning. It feels like you're being responsible, that you're being thorough, even, that you're not rushing. You're making sure that everything is right before you commit. But our verse today doesn't describe faith without action as cautious. It describes it as dead. That's a strong word. I get it. And it's meant to be. We're in week 13 because the vision that is never acted on doesn't just stall, it atrophies, it dies. The clarity that you had 6 months ago or 3 months ago when you first made the commitment to launch this year, it begins to wane, it begins to blur. The energy you felt when the idea first arrived and you were jazzed up to get started, it starts to dissipate. The more you don't do. So the window of courage that had opened when you walked into this community, it begins to narrow. So inaction is not neutral. It has a cost to it. And that cost compounds just as surely as an investment does, except it compounds in the wrong direction. So for those of you who are know what you want to do, but you haven't really made great strides, now is the time to jump out there to move. And for those of you who you already have your direction and you're ready to move, action does not mean launch day. It doesn't mean a fully built out product, a polished website, a complete team. It just means taking the next step, the next singular step. The one thing that if you did it this week, and I harp on it every week, this week, what's the one thing to move your business from where it is to somewhere it's never been before? That's your step. And so for some of you, that could be registering the name of your business. You've known for months what you want to call it, so go register it. For some of you, that might mean taking the step of forming the legal business entity. And the knowledge is there. We've spent weeks on foundation and stewardship, but the action is not. You have not actually filed your business. So, or legally formed it. So, we want to do that for you. For some of you, you've done those two steps, but now it's time to really start working with customers and having conversations with potential customers to learn more about their needs and how you're going to address their needs. Not to make the pitch so much right now, but call the person that most reflects the type of person that will be utilizing your product or service, and ask them about it, and discuss of the potential solution with it. Don't worry, they're not going to take your solution and run out the door. You're already leaps ahead of anyone who would start now if they heard your idea. But that's why we want to do those first two steps first. Get your name, get your business registered so that you're in a position of ownership. Now, for some of you, you're ready. You know what your customer wants, and you're ready to make them an offer. You're ready to make a pitch for them to either purchase your products or your services. So you don't necessarily have to have a whole full business plan, but you do have to have a clear description of what you actually do, who it is for, and what you're going to charge them for it. So that's what I want you to do this week. If you've already got your name, got your business entity formed, now that you're ready to actually deal with customers, we want to make sure that we have our offer together before we really go out into the market. So you see, each step is different for each of you based on where you are, but every single one of you have a step to take, and you now know what it is if you didn't before. Now, why does this assignment demand action? Wherever you are in this process, still seeking God for your vision, preparing for that vision, or ready to move in that vision, there is something that applies to all of you equally. You are not the only stakeholder in your assignment. If your vision is about you having wealth and enjoying the conveniences of wealth, that's not assignment. That is greed, actually. But if your assignment is attached to providing a solution to a people, to a group of people, to a customer base, to a client base, then your assignment is tied to those people. The people your business is meant to serve are actually stakeholders also. They are living with a problem that you have been called to solve. So every week that you stay in the seeking mode, that you stay in the place of preparation without taking real action, every week that you don't actually take real business activity steps, that's another week that those people go without being served. So that's not meant to make you feel guilty. That's meant for you to understand the gravity, the seriousness, the weight of your assignment. The weight of assignment is meant to move you forward. It's not meant to keep you comfortable where you are. Oh, it's so cool. God gave me an assignment. No, it's meant to propel you into action. So our verse again, James 2:17, it makes this point very clear. It is unambiguous. Faith that doesn't produce action is not demonstrating trust in God. It is demonstrating something else. It could be fear, it could be perfectionism, it could be comfort, or complacency. Excuse me. It could also, just be a preference for the safety of being in potential. So let me talk about potential. Potential is very safe. Potential always will have the value of potential, but it will never actually have the value of manifestation. So many of us, we have great potential. We have high value in what we could potentially do, but we have low value in what we actually do. We want to reverse that. And so we need to get out of the preference of the comfort of knowing we have all this potential to being uncomfortable in being comfortable, being uncomfortable while we bring that potential into reality. So, as kingdom entrepreneurs, which we all are, I call you dominionaires, you're not called to this place of safety and potential. That's a false value. You are called to the faithfulness of action, actual discernment pursued actively. You want to have discernment. You've heard God say, and now you want to do what you heard. So, actual businesses built with integrity. That's what is needed. That's what you're here for. Actual clients served with excellence. That's what you're here to do. Actual structures that can hold what you are believing they have the potential for. That's what you're here to build. So, dream vision is not the destination, it is the starting point. Building or actively seeking what to build, that's an action. That is the act of faith that follows. We must move. So we are at the end of the first quarter. Can you believe it? We are at the end of the first quarter. One quarter of your committed year is behind you. You have 3 quarters in front of you. So, what remains in this second quarter, these next 13 weeks, will set the trajectory for everything after. The groundwork of these first weeks, the clarity we've been seeking, the theological foundation, the understanding of what you are building and why, all of this matters. This is the soil from which you will plant. But the soil without seeds produces nothing. And the seeds are the actions that you take. So this week, I'm going to ask you again to each do one thing, not a list of things, but one thing. Because when you make a list, sometimes you get overwhelmed with so many things on a list. Here, we just want you to do one thing, take one action. Now, if you finish that action, then by all means, go to the next action. But right now, we want you to take one action before next Wednesday. The single most important next step for where you are specifically now, whether you are seeking, whether you are preparing, whether you are ready to launch. Each of those positions requires a different next step, but each of them has a next step for you to take. Let's take it. If you are seeking, that would be write down the problem that won't leave you alone, the thing that bothers you that you feel compelled to address. And then have a real conversation with people who have that problem. Do that before next Wednesday. If you are in preparation mode, and preparation is key, we want to be a prepared people, identify the one action that you've been circling around. You know what it is, but you haven't done it. We want you to take that one action this week. And if you are ready, you filed the document, you have registered your name, you have legally formed your business, then by all means make the call, make the offer that you've written down, that you can clearly articulate, and you know how much you're going to charge for it, and go speak with a potential client about it. Before next week, reach out to one potential client. Not because I'm giving you a deadline, although, yes, Tally is giving you a deadline, but because the people that your assignment is meant to serve are waiting for you. This is not just about you and the extra money that you can make. This is about serving God's people in a manner in which God would have them served and providing what they need for the problems that they have been asking God about. That's what you're here for. So we want your faith to carry and propel you into action. You are called to build, not to just dream. So build or take the next step toward knowing what to build if that's you. Either way, you got to take a step. It's time to move. So this week, again, we want to be honest in our reflections. Where are you honestly? If you are still in seeking mode, or if you're preparing, or if you're ready to actually launch the business or take more business productivity steps, name that actual position, and don't lie to yourself. Where are you? Tell yourself the truth, okay? So you can deal with where you are. This is the time that you come to the altar with all transparency. Father, this is where I am. This is where I've been struggling. This is where I feel stuck. I need your help. That's the action to take. What is the action that corresponds to where you think you are? I still need help with my vision. This is what's bothering me. I talk to people who you think is bothering them that you can help. And hearing from them will help you know if what your solution is, if it's on point or not. God will honor that. So um, uh, if you're seeking about your vision, that's what you have to do. You have to get out there and explore what you are proposing to provide. If you are still in preparation stage, we want to not rest in preparation. We want to do something. We want to make a decision to commit, to start, to do the next thing. And if you've already started, great. You just want to make sure that you are articulating clearly what you are providing, that you know how to provide it, and you have reasonable fees for how you're going to provide that. All right. And that you have documented that is in a journal, that is written down somewhere, because we don't want you to get too far down the road and you're just making it up as you go, right? That's not what we're here to do. And then there's got to be something that you can do before next week. And you might need to figure out why it is that you haven't done that thing. And so spend some time on that. Figure out what is providing this pause in movement. Is it fear? Is it uncertainty? Are you trying to be perfect? Have you become complacent? Because some of us got real good jobs, and so we don't want to rock that boat. I get it. We have to figure out what's making you pause so that we can get you moving. So faith that stays in your head is just a dream. Faith that moves your hands or your feet towards the door to go seek the answer, that's a business in becoming. That's your business is becoming when you're acting on it. So it's time to move. Have you heard me? Week 13, it's time to take a step. So I'm not going to ask to hear from you. I want to know next week what you did. All right. Next week, what did you do this week? Now, from my executive counsel's corner, and I really want to be of service, especially to those who are seeking. It's not uncommon to not have clarity, to have an unction, but really not know what to do about that unction. That is fine. That is normal. It is just not the place to stay. So, if you are seeking clarity, this is my counsel tip for the week. If you are seeking clarity on what to build, there is one practical step that we do at the Dominionaires Network, and that is it's a discernment process. It's and so what we actually do, what I have the Dominionaires do, is they keep a idea validation journal, because we have a gazillion ideas. God is creative. We are his creative tools. So we have many ideas, but what do we do with all of these ideas? Which one is the one to actually act upon? So what we have you do is each week you write down that specific problem that you cannot stop thinking about, that just bothers you. You're like, something needs to be done. It should not be like this. Or I wish I had this particular product because then I wouldn't have this problem. That thing, we want you to write it down. And then write down a description of the people you think have this same problem, have this same burden. Write it down. And then I have them ask the question, what, we have them go out and ask someone, these people with this same problem. We ask them um, a question about the problem, because we want to confirm that what we're hearing, and we want to confirm that what we think we might want to offer is something that would be well received. And so this is a way to kind of validate your unction. And so we call this the idea validation journal. You keep it and you do it as long as you need to do it, until you come to a place that you feel at peace. This is the one. This is what I feel compelled to do, and I have enough feedback to know that there is a ready group of people who want what I am proposing. And so we keep it as a journal. You date it, you be specific, and you work on it week by week until you get to that place. And so it does three things at once. First of all, it disciplines you that seeking is an active investigation. And so seeking is an active. So we're seeking, so we are actively investigating. And then number two, it produces the market research evidence that every business plan, every grant application will actually require you to do. So oftentimes we don't do this because we feel like it's not necessary, for a variety of reasons that I won't go into in this particular session. But nevertheless, you need this information. This is what we call market research, and we need to have that data. And you can see data can be gathered very informally. So if you keep this idea validation journal, it is actually producing market research for you. So we want to do that. And then legally, I got to bring the legal. Legally, it creates a time-stamped record of your business concept that establishes your intellectual property ownership from the earliest stages of development. We can see when you had the idea. Look at this journal written on this date. This is when they started on this particular idea. That helps to validate your intellectual property. So legally, this is a very useful tool. So that is my tip for this week. I will give you, and so just do it. That you don't need And this journal is just for you. It's not something that you're necessarily going to go read to somebody else. This is your private record keeping of you seeking understanding that what you have an idea to do, whether it is something that is for the time now. All right, so I'll say it like that because some ideas are not bad ideas. It's just not time for them yet. All right, so work on that because again, legally, it will help you later down the road, whether you're needing financing in any way. Even if you're going to get financing from friends and family, or even if you're taking finances from your own personal finances, you should want to validate to yourself that this is the appropriate use of those funds because you have some data to support it. All right. Now, tip number 2, and I'm going to end quickly. When clarity does finally arrive, and for some of you, you're already clear and you're ready to take your first legal step, if you haven't done it yet, this is the sequence that I want you to follow. First, confirm that your business name is available in the state that you're in. You do this by checking with the Secretary of State Business Name Registry. So make sure someone isn't already using your name, at least in your state. Then, number 2, once you're sure no one else has that name, go purchase the domain name before someone else does. So even if we don't put it out there yet, we want you to own the domain name because it'll become more costly later if someone else has that domain name and we need to go try to get them to give it to us. All right, so check to see if the name that you want to use, if it's available in your state. So you do that at the Secretary of State level. And then once you're sure, go purchase the domain name. This is before you even file the legal business entity, because that may take you a little more time to do. But get those 2 things done first. And then once you at least know that the business name is available to you, then we do want to move forward and actually form your business legally. And so it's very easy to do. There are a gazillion online platforms that you can, do it very quickly. Certainly, if you have questions, reach out to me. But it's that's literally the most easy step to do now is to form a business legally online. So, but we want you to do those 3 things. And for those of you who are ready to move, those are things you can do this week. So the the legal business entity is not the finish line of preparation. It's really just the launch pad. It's just your starting point. You're not in business until you do those things, because otherwise you are just personally doing things and you are personally liable for all the things that you do. So we want to step by step get your business up and running, so that we have all the legal protections that are afforded to you. All right, those are my 2 counsel tips for the week. The main thing: faith without action, that's dead. And we are alive. So do something this week. All right, I'll see you next week. Until then, be blessed of the Lord.